Hello, I'm Steve Hand. Welcome back. This is my series on self-improvement for normal people. This is the fourth video in that series. I hope you found the previous three useful to you. Just to summarize, the first video was an introduction to why I'm doing this and self-improvement as a general topic. Then I talked about the relationship between thinking, feeling, and doing in my second video. And in the third video, I talked about the normal curve. So we would have a foundation for what this general topic is of self-improvement for normal people. Now, still, self-improvement is a subjective term, and you can take that any way you'd like to interpret that. But the goal is to make yourself a happier, more effective person in general. This video is on relationships. And I know in a short video there's not a whole lot I can cover, but that's why I want to try to bring you the most important points, the basic foundation for healthy relationships. I'm talking more specifically about one-to-one relationship. There are all kinds of different relationships. There's a brother-sister relationship, husband-wife, father-daughter, all kinds of relationships. So I will confine this video to a one-to-one relationship, you might say a romantic relationship, but these principles can also be applied to other relationships as well. So again, my name is Steve Hand. I've had over 42 years of experience as a psychologist and addictions counselor. In my work with people, with couples in particular, I found that over the years there are three major components that help to establish a solid relationship. And those three things are trust, honesty, and respect. Those are the three ideals which I would consider and I would recommend you strive for. And you're not always going to be totally successful, but when you're thinking of interacting or you're in an interaction with the other person, you try to be as honest, respectful, and trusting as you can be. And this can be kind of a guide for you in terms of how you approach them. So think about that and how you can apply that to your relationship. Do I feel this person I'm in a relationship is being respectful, honest, and trustworthy and trusting toward me? And am I being that way toward the other person? Now, when I've done couples counseling, oftentimes I refer to Dr. John Gottman, Gottman, from Seattle, Washington, who's done a lot of research and a lot of work with couples. He has interviewed couples and made videos. Then he looked at those videos years and years later, and he decided upon his investigation that there were four factors that predicted whether or not these people would stay together or not. And those factors are as follows: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and withdrawal. So as he observed these communications between the couples, those were the four factors that predicted that this couple would break up someday. So let's review that a little bit and think about this intuitively. In a relationship, if you or your partner is more critical, that not only displays dissatisfaction, but the other person usually feels wounded or hurt, and certainly is not happy. Most of us don't like to be criticized. So certainly it's a destructive kind of a thing. Now, occasional criticism, certainly we all uh, uh, want to improve things and want to display our dissatisfaction in certain areas, but you can do that in a respectful way. But the more criticism, the more chances that this couple would break up. And the next one that he found, the next factor is contempt. So what is contempt? Contempt is different signs of resentment, bitterness, revenge. Um, could be facial expressions like rolling of the eyes or a sneer. Uh, so signs of dissatisfaction, okay? And it's not necessarily associated with words, but it can be, okay? So a resentment. Um, so that is common in relationships that are having trouble. And if that continues over the course of time, the couple will probably break up. Now, the next factor, the third factor, is defensiveness, which is pretty understandable when you're talking about if there is one person who is being critical. The frequent response is defensiveness. You defend yourself. You say, no, I didn't do that, or I'm really not that way, or you're more like that than I am. So that tends to make the relationship worse. And in fact, it's a block to communication when you're defensive. So far, all these first three factors make communication worse and build up hurt and anger in each of the people. The last factor is withdrawal. It's also called stonewalling. So a lot of times, we might tend to walk away when we don't know what to say, or we feel hurt or angry. We feel sometimes it's better to walk away. But if you do that frequently, or if that's common, a pattern, it's certainly avoiding problems. You're not solving anything. And so you want to try to avoid that and somehow communicate in some way, and not just leave the problem unsolved. Oftentimes it's good to come back at another time when both of you are calm. So in my experience, some other factors which are important to promote a positive relationship are effective communication, which we have talked about a little bit, using I messages, I feel, and target a specific behavior in the other person and how it makes you feel, okay? In a respectful fashion, very important. Compromise. When you are having an issue, a problem, a disagreement, it's important to come to an agreement about most of these things. Now, practically speaking, oftentimes there are issues that we may not have an agreement on. And that's where, if you as a couple can't agree, what you work on is your own thinking about that and trying to think more rationally so you're less upset about it. Okay, and we've talked about that, and we'll continue to talk about that. The importance of staying calm in a relationship, in a discussion, in your interactions with other people. Why is that? Because when you're upset, you're more likely to say hurtful things. And people can say rude things, rude comments, insulting comments. People can label you or swear at you. These are very hurtful. So you want to, of course, avoid doing that. Some of the do's and don'ts in relationships. Do promote honesty, trust, respect, compromise, making agreements, being considerate of the other person's feelings, and thinking about what might make the other person happy in addition to making yourself happy. Okay, so when you have one really unhappy person in a relationship, your relationship's going to be unhappy. So don't think you're winning if you win an argument. There's no winning. That's not going to help the relationship. You want the other person to be happy, but yourself also. Some of the don'ts. Don't disrespect the other person. Don't distrust the other person. Don't swear at them. Don't insult them. Certainly don't hurt them, or don't intentionally hurt them. And don't physically hurt them, of course. So what I want to emphasize to you today in relationships, it's a lot of common sense, but you want to examine that, because if you're in a long-term relationship, everything counts, and words are powerful. So you want to be as positive as possible and save your dissatisfaction for really important issues. So if you like this video, please click like, push subscribe. That means that you'll be notified when I make another video in this series. And I hope this has been useful to you. And feel free to leave a comment. And I look forward to talking to you again soon.